Remember Golf Aid? Of course you do. Turns out this was a sequel to a previous event, a sort of sister appeal, also released on VHS and sharing a director, involvement from the Sun newspaper, and the creative driving force of one Mr. James Davidson OBE. Zeebrugge is one of those words still burned into my brain from an 80s childhood, a phrase spoke often on grown-up television, like Greenham Common, Lockerbie, and Ken Masters. In this case, it referred to a maritime disaster, where a ferry, the herald of free enterprise, capsized just outside the Belgian port of Zeebrugge in March 1987, resulting in 193 deaths. The Sun loved their appeals, which are definitely about raising money for a good cause and not free advertising and PR for themselves. But here, they at least had a connection. Among the victims that day, some were on board after taking up one of the Sun's cross the channel for £1 offers. When a charity was set up for victims' families, the tabloid decided to contribute by putting together a single under the banner of Ferry Aid for a supergroup cover of the Beatles' Let It Be. The single was organised, of all people, by their television columnist Gary Bushell, putting in a call to mates Stock Aitken and Waterman, who offered their studio and time free of charge.
Oh, excuse me, miss, is this the right queue for the sperm bank?
In '87, there were pop groups coming out of Britain's arse, and sat in the period bridging Band Aid and Band Aid 2. You'd think it would be easy recruiting big names for a good cause, but all the lefty musos, victims of the paper's nasty stories over the years, were suspicious of the Sun's motives, finding the whole thing distasteful, and strangely not swayed by a knock on the door from Gary Bushell. Consequently, the star roster took some convincing, such as Boy George, talked into it by his brother, who was a tabloid photographer, and press at the time paints a picture of grudging musicians participating under duress. An interesting piece in Smash Hits, sitting in on recording sessions, had comments from those involved. Boy George, when asked, said, "I wrap my fish and chips in the sun." Andy Bell from Erasure was uncomfortable even being there, refusing to be photographed if the picture would end up in that paper. Meanwhile, Ben from Curiosity Killed the Cat thought it was good to raise awareness of ferry safety, saying, "It might be boring closing the doors as they leave port, but it's a bit out of order when you're dealing with so many lives." Kim Wilde was the most vocal. "I didn't think, when I heard, that this was a good thing to do. Making a record wasn't the first thing that sprang to mind. I was very upset by what happened, and I didn't think it was appropriate to sing about it. I'm doing it because I've been told the families need the money, but I feel very strange about it." Paul McCartney, who'd written the original Let It Be, said, "I record my bit in me own studio, la. I got a studio at home, you see." But it later came out he'd not bothered, and just sent the tape from his 1970 performance, pretending it was new. General view of musicians involved was that the song was boring, the Sun hopeless, and there were too many artists, everyone singing over the top of each other, half a line crammed in here or there. They had a point, as the assembled cast was absolutely enormous. There's a famous video that goes round every now and then, which you've probably seen. A green-screened Let It Be from a Norwegian chat show, featuring seemingly every celebrity who's ever been born. Well, that's knocked into the depths of a cocked hat with Ferry Aid's ensemble backing choir. Names like Astley, Quattro, Tyler, Bananarama, Go West, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Bucks Fizz, Errol Brown, Stardust, Strange. Perhaps inspired by Dan Aykroyd's presence in We Are the World. From EastEnders, Nasty Nick, Ali, and Mary the Punk. From page 3, Debbie Ashby, Suzanne Mitzi, Maria Whittaker. There's also Honeyford, Diamond, Al Hunter Ashton, Lasardi, Maddox, Pollard, Osman, Mike Reed, Simon Bates, Bill Wyman's child bride Mandy Smith, Banksy and Faye Lucas off Grange Hill, Billy Boswell off Bread. As for the song itself, I'm not daft enough to play a fucking Beatles track on here, so we'll listen to this instead.
But me, poor! I like birds, birds, birds. Poor! Any kind of bird. Nothing seen or heard thrills me like a bird.
The video follows the Band-Aid standard, everyone larking about and belting it out for charity, plus the Where's Wally game of, oh look, there's Sue. Although the best bit is a load of kissing between Davidson, Carson, Reed and Bowen. Likely because of said kissing, the single went to #1 for 3 weeks and sold 500,000 copies. Also released at that time was a rival single titled Let It Be / The Scum, poking fun at the hypocrisy of performers who'd aligned themselves with that rag. Though the song was credited to Scab Aid, this was actually a pseudonym of anarchic little tykes Chumbawamba.
This manufactured sympathy, drowning in hypocrisy, smiles to clinch the deals to boost the sales.
Just like Golf Aid, in conjunction with the 7-inch, there was a live benefit show, raising 30 grand on the night, and later released on VHS under the title Let It Be Alright on the Night. Over 100 minutes of unstoppable adult laughter. Do you hear that? It can't be stopped. It can't, no matter what Corbyn says. Honestly, the opening is pretty funny.
A Wiener World presentation.
Of course it starts with the video, and Macca doing loads of his lovely "I'm playing music" faces. We're at the London Palladium, scene of more horrible crimes than Whitechapel, and Jimbo seems to be directing things from backstage.
There's a roll on the drums, and there's a one line goes into Hale and Pacey's box. That's the Royal Box. That's right, yeah. And we've got players. Let's go.
Up in the Royal Box, finally some monarchs I'd lay down my life for.
Oh dear on, they're laughing.
Oh dearie, dearie me.
God save our kings.
We like EastEnders.
Yeah, especially Lofty. Hey Shell, when I hold you up to my ear, I can hear the sound of the sea. Bye-bye.
Bernie's in the other box, doing his usual.
That was Hale and Pace. I want that fucking awful.
As we saw from his This Is Your Life, the big man would rather die in a bath with Lenny Henry than let you think he's found another comedian funny.
We got some shit on here tonight, I know. Frankie Howard, he is to comedy what piles are to Lester Piggott. Jim Bowie.
It's weird to find yourself in agreement with Manning, though.
Roger De Gorsey. Fucking hell, is he still going? Mike Reed, well, he's been a friend of mine for many years, as you know. And queers need friends.
Famously camp comedian Mike Reed. Chase me, you fucking pilchard. Check this for a cut.
English fella knocking this Irish woman off. She says, you haven't got AIDS, have you? He says, no. She said, thank fuck for that. She said, I don't want that again. I'll see you later on in the show.
Don't you know everyone wants to laugh?
The actual capsizing's barely mentioned, as they want to keep it light, with all jokes about fat mother-in-laws and that.
We all know why we're here tonight, so we won't dwell on it. I mean, whatever we do tonight, we're here to have a laugh, and it won't change what has happened.
First act proper are Flanders and Swan-style musical humourists, Kit and the Widow.
Mr. Norman Fowler says, presenting his respects, that as from now you must avoid violent anal sex.
They're a distinctive booking in a bill almost entirely consisting of stand-ups off the comedians, a line-up epitomised by the next performer.
Ladies and gentlemen, from London, Mr. Mike Reid.
There was another notice on the mirror said beware of homosexuals. There was a message on the floor. I bent down to look at it. He said, you've been warned twice.
Not sure Reid's anti-police gags would go down so well with today's Sun readers.
He said, what about the IQ test? I said, 97.5. He said, really? Why don't you think you never got in then? I said, well, probably because my mum and dad were married.
Frank Butcher, you commie, wants locking up.
They dropped an atom bomb on Bradford, it done 15 quid's worth of damage. This big black fella's got a frog in his hand. I haven't got time for all that. Listen, for Christ's sake, listen. But now my mother-in-law, 26 years later, she is massive. 33 stone she weighs.
Every newspaper headline in the noughties.
And the size of her bum. Hello, darlings, God bless you. Thanks very much indeed.
Comedians love to know where you're in from.
Any Irish in tonight?
Birmingham, anyone from Birmingham? Well, bloody good. Anyone in from Scotland?
Is there anybody in from Cornwall?
I can't stand them froggies. Any French people in? Thank God for that. Oh, I can't stand them. They're so conceited, you know.
From an old pro to a winner of new faces.
A very funny man. Will you welcome Dougie Small?
Right! Sunday morning, off of the lot, think I'll take a walk in the park. Hey!
Dougie Small is best, or rather, only remembered for his gag of dressing like Superman and laying on a tea trolley pretending to fly. But he's also got a bastard son of Eddie Large's celebrity starting their cars routine, where it's people picking up a pound coin off the floor.
The second fella was brilliant. He was one of those rockers. Have you seen the rockers with the motorbikes?
Of course we know them rockers, don't we? Them rockers with their motorbikes. We're all from the 1950s, right?
The last fella was brilliant. The last fella was Wayne Sleep.
And here's that routine that made him famous. Remember, people used to complain about reality stars. All it takes to be famous now is to get your fanny out on Big Brother. Not like the good old days with proper celebrities, who balanced on a chair in a cape.
Thank you, good night, God bless, thank you.
A couple of years after Ferry Aid, Dougie was back playing stag nights and holiday camps. Not like this evergreen titan of light entertainment.
Thank you very much.
Roger's in his Emil from RoboCop era. Hell of an act though, isn't it? Scintillating.
And I'm hungry.
What are you doing about it?
Cooking.
What are you cooking?
I was quite happy where I was.
At least you get your money's worth in his goodbye.
Right. Say goodnight to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, another good show. Good night. God bless you. Take care. Good night. In the box. Good night.
The night's most popular topic is diarrhea and doing loads of shites.
I've had 5 boxes of all drained through the top of the lid this week. And I've now got a bun like a round of burnt toast. Now...
You know you've had one, you're dehydrated, you sit on the toilet and your arse goes down for a drink, doesn't it? Hey, that's what...
Ron here knows all about big business.
Since I've been on a high fibre diet.
There's no poo in it, but Jethro blesses us his classic routine about a woman doing a big smelly fart on the bus.
How she never blowed her hintrals right out, I'm not... Well, you couldn't talk, you couldn't draw breath. Stigma.
There's a rare musical interlude from Edwin Starr, anticipating a hostile audience for some reason.
This is for all of you out there that don't want to clap your hands. We can get you to kind of snap your fingers.
It's great to see all the old comics buoying each other on. If I'd had encouragement like this from Jim Bowen, I'd be the most successful man in the world.
Come on, Pat.
And we welcome
Break your leg, Mooney.
Island, Mr. Pat Mooney.
Get on, Mooney. Go on, son.
Pat Mooney, a comedian aptly named after showing your arse.
Charles Bronson's the Avon lady. Yeah. What about that Irish rapist? He tied the woman's legs together so she couldn't run away. Or the Irish vampire who attacked Dolly Parton and bit her neck.
That's Dolly Parton's tits.
Hey, Pat, tell him the one about the Mau Mau.
There was an Irishman, an Englishman and a Scotsman caught by the cannibals in Africa.
Frankie Howard, the biggest name there, only does 2.5 minutes.
3 old bags in the fountain, each one longing for to roam.
Probably spent more time straightening his wig backstage. A real treat here is the live orchestra giving little cover versions of appropriate music for the walk-ons.
Oh, lovely, Jim, lovely.
Listen to this beautiful bullseye theme.
Yes.
Evening. He said every time I fart, the garage door's open. No.
He's got an observational routine about getting into a hot bath. You shower havers, you won't get this at all.
Us lads, steam on the winkle.
Ask him, ref. You do that?
Thank you very much indeed. You've been a super audience. Have a good night. God bless you. Thanks a lot.
Jim comes out to do his dirty Cinderella and buttons routine that I've seen in about 6 things by this point.
Hello, boys and girls. My name's Buttons.
This might be the earliest recorded version, as Ferry Aid predates the actual conception of Cinderella over a whiskey-fueled night in Charlie Drake's dressing room by 3 years. Through the 80s, Jim was playing Buttons in traditional pantos, and perhaps what we're seeing is the germ of an idea which would eventually give us Boobs in the Wood, and a drunken, elderly Charlie Drake's lengthy mime of rubbing a woman's lower front area.
She's the daughter of Baron Hardup. Cinders! Oh, there she is, 2 of my favourites.
Finally, the Jim Davidson's Mucky Panto / Copycats crossover we've all been waiting for. My name's Cinderella from the pantomime Cinderella.
Betty, I got a bit of soap stuck up my bum. Can you lip read?
Wonder who it was, back in the sands of time, the first to realise it, the first to unleash the great secret of comedy, that sausages look a bit like willies.
Wait. Cinders, a black pudding.
Oh dear!
He was wearing my Rolex.
And then it's time for the main event.
Well, you've had some crap on here tonight, haven't you?
Quick impression, Frank Bruno. Been on the canvas how many times you got a cauliflower arse?
The crowd, who've been half asleep throughout, absolutely come alive with Bernard.
He couldn't get his prick out of the chicken.
Remember, this was a
There's nothing nicer though, Saturday afternoon, buy pot of tea, a nice plate pot of sandwiches, and watch two knocking fuck out of one another. Eh?
The bleeping's mine. All his N-words are uncensored on the video. But the old line about Bernard's always, he might have been a racist, but what a pro. His timing and delivery was second to none.
There's nothing nicer though, Saturday afternoon, buy pot of tea, a nice plate pot of sandwiches.
Bite pot of tea, a nice plate pot of sandwiches, is it?
Can't stop us laughing, can they? Hey, it's the only thing we got left, a good laugh.
Yeah, a good laugh.
We've got kids getting battered and murdered and old people getting raped and mugged.
It's all we've got left.
Ted Moult shot himself, nobody heard it, the fucking windows are shut. Englishman, Irishman and Scotsman walking along the beach.
It's almost admirable, solely by self-mythologizing and carrying himself as the king of comedy, making a career out of creaky old jokes everyone uses, and the sort of funnies you can hear in the break room at work.
You know what my ambition is? To go live on the Antique Roadshow and say to some old woman, you know that's worth fuck all. Jim Davis and his mother-in-law's in here tonight somewhere. I spotted her early on. Got a face like a fucking bulldog chewing a wasp.
You're mowing your lawn, and your neighbour, Bernard Manning, comes out. You can fucking do mine next if you like. However, he can surprise you. This may look like a standard Manning routine about a Zulu's blowpipe, but I wrote one of them glory halls the other night. Thought to myself, waste not fucking want not. I heard they actually got rid of the bogs in the Embassy Club, as Bernie's a cat boy and demands to go in a litter tray.
Meow, 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 meow. Good night.
Jim goes all earnest for the closing speech.
People say, why are you doing this show? You don't do it to say, a bit of recognition, we raised a few quid. Honestly, we don't really care about that. It's just to show that we care. You show you care by staying this bloody late and listening to all our boring old jokes. And we've really tried to say what we feel.
Meow, meow.
His dog have swallowed a condom.
Fuck off. And we've really tried to say what we feel.
We end on a live rendition of the single, though I guess Boy George and Macca and Kim Wilde were busy. If you paid your ticket for a Mike Osmond cameo, you've had a wasted journey. It's a performance which seems to be riddled with sound and timing problems.
Is there a chance that they might see? There will be an answer, let it be.
Glam rocker Alvin Stardust comes out halfway through in jeans and a white t-shirt. It's like going to see Slipknot and they've not got their masks on.
Wake up in the darkness, Mother Mary comes to me.
At least Bates and Wrighty are there. There he is. Send him home happy. And of course, for the credit song, sad that Rhubarb the Clown never made it to the VHS release.
Come on, give a cheer! Thank you very much for everything you've done. God bless you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
While not quite up, or rather down there with Golf Aid, Ferry Aid feels like a dry run for it. But any time there's two of something, it's a shame not to complete the trilogy. There's plenty of causes these days. Wonder if Jim's got one more in him.
Well done, everybody.
Brilliant. Good man. Good man. Good man. Good man.
Well done, Jim. Anyway, thanks for turning up. That's the main thing.